Hey there everyone, I'm Bert and this is Bert's Tinkering. Today's project is a little bit different than I would normally do, I guess. I've got a 2014 Passat TDI diesel that I need to replace some injectors with. So, away we go. A little bit of background on how I got to replacing the injectors. I had a check engine light pop and I bought this diagnostic tool, which works really well, and it was able to tell me that I had an injector problem on cylinder 3. Then through some research I found out that I had to get a different type of code reader and program, because the injectors have different numbers that are programmed into the computer. This reader can't program those. So I ended up buying a different reader. And this is a Ross Technology Hex version 2. And it also comes with a free download of a program, it's a VCDS, which I'm able to get on the computer and program the appropriate injector codes. And some quick anatomy. These are the injectors, which is underneath the engine cover, which I've already pulled off. And then right down here and there, you can see that metal block. These bolts are 8mm triple square, which is something more unique to the foreign models, and they're supposed to be tightened down to 8 Newton meters of torque plus 180 degrees. So I'll get to disassembling and get the new ones put in. I almost forgot my disclaimer on this one. I am nowhere close to being an expert on these types of things, although I can figure a lot of stuff out and tend to get by with some decent repairs. For those of you that know these engines way better than I, you may note a couple of things I could have or should have done during this process. Okay, the fun part. There's some little plastic keepers that allow this, I believe it's a fuel return line, to stay in place. Of course, I don't want to break them. Well, before I go too much further, I probably should disconnect the battery, because the pump can initialize when the key is close enough, and I don't want to get diesel everywhere. It's probably going to be messy anyways. Now, this is the diesel return line that I'm disconnecting right now. Swing that around and out of the way. So I've got some stuff pulled apart, and I've got some labels. I put 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutively, and also labeled the fuel lines before I pull them, so I know which ones go where. Overall, the next most important thing is getting the serial numbers from each injector and correlating that to the new ones, so when I go to program it, it's programmed correctly. I don't care which cylinder is which, as long as I can pair up the numbers correctly in the program, and I'll show you that later. Alright, now that I've got all my injectors labeled, I'll pull these fuel lines. Before I pop these injectors, I'm going to try to absorb some of the leaking fluids. Injector number 3 was actually leaking oil and leaving a puddle on driveways if it was sitting at a slope. A small puddle, but enough that it was noticeable on concrete. Right here, we're just covering the fuel ports so I don't get a bunch of crap in it when I spray it out with the air. Yeah, did I mention that I was smart and I'm doing this in 30-degree weather? Okay, now for some gentle persuasion. Off camera, I did lube each O-ring with a little bit of oil before I put it in place. The same engine oil that's in it. And 1 and 2 are in. It was a bit of a struggle. This is a brand new stretch bolt. I'm going to put it in finger tight. Just loose enough to where I can put the hard lines on and manipulate it. There we go. Whew. Bugger. Yes. Out of cylinder 3, the one that failed. And you can see that's pretty dirty. Hard to see overall, but this little tiny torque wrench goes up to 9 Newton meters, which 8 Newton meters is what these are supposed to be torqued to, plus 180 degrees. So I've gone through and marked them with a Sharpie so I can get that 180 degrees. Go. Okay, so now I'm going to connect the wiring harness. Okay, everything is plugged back in except for the battery. Alright, there's where I wrote the numbers down on one of the injector boxes. And I'm going to go get the computer after I connect the battery. And we'll see if I screwed anything up. Okay, here's the moment of truth. Just turning the auxiliary on, not turning the engine on yet. So far, I have no leaks. Okay, I've got the ignition on, and I'll open up the VCDS. Go to select my control module and the engine, and in order to change the injector codes, it's under adaptation 10, and then there's a drop down, and injector 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to get those new codes put in and I'll come back. Okay, I've got all the numbers programmed and saved, and are hopefully ready to start up, because here we go. Maintaining about 45 miles an hour, relatively level ground. Feels like and sounds like a really nice functioning TDI. Okay, test drive is complete. Vehicle's up to operating temperature. I'm looking with a flashlight for any leaks. Looks pretty dang good. I don't have any puddled oil in the bay of injector 3 like I used to. It's all pretty clean and dry, you know, relatively speaking. So I'm going to call this repair done, and off to my next project. Well, that's the end of this video. But, as I said earlier, there's some things I probably should have done, but didn't, and thought I could get away with it. I'll have another video following up on what I didn't do. Thank you for watching. If you learned something, throw me a like or subscribe.